Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 27th day of March, 2023. Well, I started this once and then it didn't go very well. But I'd already taken the rune, so I'm going to keep it because I started talking about that. But anyway, we're back up and going now. So anyway, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I did write down the runes and the cards from last week. We dealt with partnership and boundaries on Monday, and then betrayal on Thursday. So whether or not the two are related, maybe not. It just depends on what's going on in your life. It could be two completely separate issues. But I did write them up and put them both together on the blog, just so you could kind of read through them again and see, okay, what really happened and what was going on, and see if anything, if anything we talked about actually applied. Let's see. I got my geomancy runes out there. I guess we're, I don't know if we're out of winter yet. We might be. I don't know. I think we still have more snow coming this week. I think it's all gone out there. I looked out there this morning. It's all gone, but it was pretty cold on the weekend, and the snow we got on Saturday night was still there on Sunday. So, but I think eventually it warmed up enough it could melt. But we'll see. I don't know. We're starting to plant seeds in the house now, and well, the peppers are already up, but the Hungarian paprikas have been planted. I think around the first of the month, that's when we're going to probably plant the tomato seeds and probably everything else. I did some more cottonwood bud oil, some balm of Gilead oil. I did that. I finished that yesterday, and oh gosh, it looks so good. And so it's just a beautiful color. And then I have some more to do. I have some left, and I'm going to do some more liniments and another tincture probably. I don't think I'll do any more honey, but I need to get the grain alcohol out and do the tincture. Cottonwood buds are resinous, and anytime you're using resin, any resinous types of material, grain alcohol is your best extraction method. You can extract it into oil, but it's not going to do as well. In fact, I took the stuff I had in the oil and I stuck it in a jar, and I poured isopropyl alcohol all over it, because we're not gonna ingest this. That's only for topical stuff, and I use that for that, and it's turning a really nice color. So I don't know. I'm getting what's left out of them. It probably won't be as strong as regular liniments, but that's okay. Well, anyway, that's enough about herbal stuff. I'm an herbalist, so I like to talk about stuff like that. Anyway, let's go on with the rune for today. From the Elder Futhark, the above side of things. This is Thurzaz. It's Thor's rune. It means the thorn. Kind of looks like a rose thorn, doesn't it? But Thurzaz is about who opposes you or what opposes you, the opposition that you have to defend against. It's basically it's good in spells for weather, for busting up clouds. It means impulsive behavior. It reflects the giants. Thor was thought to be a giant. But new beginnings. Let's see. We talked about opposition already and weather magic. So yeah, I think that's about it. If I leave something out, then I'll probably blurt it out at some point. It's like, oh, there's that. Yeah, that was also part of Thurzaz. Well, barely. I can barely drink it. But anyway, it's suggesting what kind of, in terms of higher awareness, how do you defend yourself? Or do you? Do you just simply observe if you can? But basically, it's the rune of protection, and either yourself or others. So something's going to come up today, where you may have to consider what's opposing you. What's the stumbling blocks in your way? What's the challenges that you're facing? Let's look at the geomancy rune, though, and put it in order here. To do. Yeah, this is a missio. So a missio is about loss. Let me find it here in the little bowl. Oh. I stuck not these in there. That's acquisitio. There's a missio. Emissio and acquisitio, loss and gain. This is a missio, or loss. Now the interesting thing about geomancy runes, and if you've been here before, I've said this. You've heard me say this. Sometimes it's about the positive and the negative, the increase and the decrease when it comes to these runes, an increase of something or a decrease of something. And in this case, when you're talking about gain or loss, it's complement, or it's upside down here, would be acquisitio. You're talking about either receiving something or losing something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything bad. It doesn't have to be like I gained a bunch of money and lost a bunch of money. It's not necessarily about that. So actually, a missio could be looked at in a positive way if, say, there's a circumstance, perhaps the opposition that this is talking about, and you're losing some of it today. It could be a loss of that. Or it could also mean a loss of feeling protected. So you can see it's really those two particular runes can be looked at very generally, instead of trying to put a value judgment on it and looking at it in terms of financial, because we've got Fortuna Major and Minor that are a little more financial. But these could be, it just depends on what your circumstances are. So maybe if we're looking at it, if we were to look at it from the standpoint of money, maybe there's something that you're about to lose today. Maybe you're wanting to make a decision that might be problematic, or you're facing a challenge financially that you could stand to lose some money if you don't make the right decision. You might purchase something, in other words, that you think is okay, but maybe if you'd done a little more due diligence, you would have maybe looked at the reviews or something of it online to see how people who have actually purchased it, what their experience has been. And so it's just maybe it's suggesting something like that if it is financial in nature. But if not, let's take a look at the cards and see if we can give us just a little more insight and a little more direction on what we're talking about here. Because if you're having to defend yourself, or you're coming upon some challenges or opposition today with Thurisaz, that's pretty explosive energy when you're trying to deal with it. I mean, if you just think of it in terms of Thor's hammer, and from the movies, you see how powerful it is when the hammer swings about and gets tossed, the damage that it can do. But I don't think that looking at it from the standpoint of higher self, that we want to look at it that way. I think this is, how do you protect yourself? Are you just going to make decisions that are going to put you in potential harm's way, or are you going to try to get above it all and take a look at it and make a better choice to understand what's truly opposing you? Is it just your perception of something? Is it really not what you think it is? And what do you stand to lose today, depending on where you go with that? So that could be another way of looking at the runes today. Again, with a missio, the generality of that rune sort of makes the rest of it a generality. Until we have a little more, until you start thinking about how it will apply in your own life, because you could have 20 different things, 20 different people look at this and say, oh well, I see that resonates for me in this way, and it won't be the same for anybody, right? So that's, I wish I could be more specific here, but I don't think I better. We'll just leave this as general as possible. Now, I've already done some shuffling here before I started. I'm just going to do a little bit more here, and we're going to cut the deck. Take the lower half and pull out some cards. Well, we have the Queen of Swords, the Hierophant, and the Seven of Cups, which is an interesting card in and of itself, the Seven of Cups. I kind of see it in a couple of different ways. one where you've got your head in the clouds, and one where you're dreaming new dreams and trying to consider the possibility of. I mean, how do you know? I mean, someone, it's like you know somebody well, they've always got their head in the clouds. They don't really, they're always thinking about these things they want to do, and but of course they're never going to do them. They're not real. But how do you know? See, that's the thing. How do you know that something you're thinking about that seems absolutely ludicrous at one moment, suddenly that door opens to it? It's like, oh, so that's why I get a little bit, weighing that out with the 7. I don't know. But here we have the Queen of Swords. And as you know, if you've been here before, my favorite Queen of Swords card is in the Thoth Tarot. She's the queen is in the clouds. She's on a crystal throne in the clouds, and she's got a sword in one hand and the severed head in the other. What that means is that the Queen of Swords doesn't take any prisoners. She demands respect. She demands honesty. She demands fairness. And if she's trying to decide something for somebody else, her decisions are going to be made weighing things out. That's why I'm glad we've got the 7 here. The 7 represents the scales to me, and letting everything come to a rest and settle out before you make a decision. And again, that may be part of the process that really protects you the most here from loss, if you're looking at just the 2 keywords here for Thurisaz and Amicio. Is really doing your due diligence. She's somebody that doesn't take prisoners. She's an older woman. She doesn't suffer fools gladly, as they say. She likes to cut through illusion. She's assertive. She's solitary. She's powerful. She may be a widow. Also could represent someone in your life that's a widow. Oftentimes the queens are left. The kings die in battle or what have you, and or they get sick, and then the queen has to rule. Whether or not she takes somebody else as a consort, maybe she will, maybe she won't. But oftentimes the queens were left to rule, and she doesn't like deception. You see that around her is a bunch of darker clouds, and she just wants to cut through all of that. She doesn't want any kind of deception coming her way. She demands the truth from things. And so, in terms of how we would see the queen with Thurisaz and Amicio, the power that she has is cutting through deception and demanding that from other people. It could be what opposes you today is something that's deceptive. Somebody wants to sell you a bill of goods, and you're just like, huh, right, okay, and you know it, or you're trying to decide what is this person saying, or these people saying? Are they telling me the truth or not? So maybe what you're having to deal with today in terms of Thurisaz, you need to protect yourself from, and to break through. Is the idea of deception. So we'll just go ahead and define it as that. So clearly, as with last week and the 3 of Swords, there was some deception and betrayal there. I don't know if this is a continuation or if this is a whole new circumstance, but you need to have some kind of an outside counselor here, and we have that represented by the Hierophant. Card 5 of the Major Arcana. This is a card of freedom versus restriction in terms of the 5, protection again with the 5. So there we're aligning the protection element with Thurisaz and protecting yourself from deception with the Queen. But the Hierophant is basically about divine wisdom. He's the Pope. Usually he's thought to be that. He's got 3 layers of on his crown here. You see the 3 different ticks there on the scepter. You see 3 different crosses here on his raiment here that he has. This, I don't know what it's called, so I just call it a raiment. But you can also see 2 more on his feet down below, 2 more crosses. So there's the 5. But you also see 3 fingers held up with the thumb, 1, 2, and 3. You see that held up there. You can look at the relationship, the triplicity between the 2 monks down below and the Hierophant himself. So we see 3s and 5s there. We see the crossed keys here, which are knowledge and tradition. You see the temples of Solomon here in between, although they don't say that like it does on the high priestess card. You'll see the B and the J, and those represent Boaz and Yakim, I think they're pronounced. I'm trying, I don't know for sure. But anyway, you could look at these as some kind of spiritual balance or mastery. But again, it's going to somebody for maybe for some more information, maybe to get a higher perspective on what it is you're trying to think about, especially if somebody's being deceptive in your life. You need to maybe go to a counselor, maybe go to a lawyer, maybe go to, I mean, it just depends on what it is, right? The swords card that represents elemental air, that could also indicate a legal situation that's involved here, trying to cut through the truth of that. But going to somebody, a wise mentor like the Hierophant represents, that's somebody where you can look at things a little more creatively, a little more spiritually, and maybe not so judgmentally. There could be, in other words, if somebody's trying to deceive you, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe they're not really trying to harm you, but they're protecting something or someone else, and they feel like they don't have a choice in this, maybe, or they feel like they're too afraid to tell the truth. And there could be any number of reasons for any type of deception that might be happening right now. So maybe going to the Hierophant, you get above it all. The same with the 7 here in the 7 of Cups, but we'll come to that in a minute. The idea of getting above everything and taking a look at what's really going on, what's the deception really about. Maybe there's a level of understanding you can have for the situation where, you don't just simply cut ties with the individual. Maybe there's more going on in their life, for example. So, and knowing that gives you the insight you need to really understand what the person is dealing with, maybe, and that's the source of the deception. So there's a level of mercy involved here. Even if it's just being merciful for your own self and protecting your own self from what's going on behind your back. Again, same way with the 3 of Swords last Thursday, and trying to again, we had Albus that day, and trying to get above it all and figure out what's really happening, and then where do you go from there. It was essentially how that reading went. But again, we're dealing with maybe a loss of trust, maybe with a missio. That could be it. If it is deception, now there's a loss of trust, and you need to break through all of that. You need to protect yourself from it. You need to understand it. You need to understand what the real truth is, and that's where the Queen of Swords comes in. And again, once you think you start to do that, you may need to go talk to somebody to get an even better perspective, to understand the truth of the whole thing, to give you a different more a perspective that has maybe a little more authority, more experience, that type of thing. Again, it could, I keep hearing legal in my head. There could be something legal involved here, where you need to figure this out. And so the Hierophant could represent an attorney, if that's the case. And then we come to the 7, where we see all these cups. There's 7 cups sitting in the clouds, the dark clouds. You see the guy in shadow here. You see all these things that are in them. You see a head, you see a hat, you see a serpent. I think that this is another type of a serpent, or a griffon, maybe. This is a wreath for success. Here you have a bunch of jewels, it looks like, and then you have a castle on the top of a I don't know, a little peak type of thing there, little. Maybe it was just built out of I don't know what it was built out of, but at the same time, it could be the whole castle itself, but it looks like it's like sitting on top of something. But anyway, on top of a hill or something. But anyway, you're looking there. You're either trying to. I mean, it's not a nightmare. It's just maybe you're being unrealistic about what it is you want. Your head's in the clouds. You're not focusing on the here and now. You're not even letting anything settle out with the 7 so that you can observe what the truth is and what's really going to get you where you need to be. But this is just sort of it's sort of a card of fantasy. And they're just not seeing things clearly. They're focused on too much stuff at once, and they can't pick one, that they want to try to achieve or anything. But again, in another reading, it might be, well, you're considering all your possibilities. And if you think of it that way, it could be the possibilities that are propelling on this deception. Maybe somebody's wanting something from you that is you're not going to give it to them. It belongs to you. You're not going to give it away. And they insist, and they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and they try to say, oh no, it's mine, it's really mine. It's like, no, it's not. And so you get into that, and I've been in that situation, and trust me, it is the most bizarre thing you'll ever go through, where you're trying to say, well, no, this is not yours, it's mine. I came home from work one day, or no, I wasn't coming home from work. I was coming home from something else, and I had one of the kids with me, and we come in, and this guy is up at the top of our property. On our property, we had a truck up there that was dead, and we'd never hauled it off or had anybody come and get it. Finally, we did, but he's taking something out of the truck, and I stop and I go, what do you? No, this is my truck. This is my truck. I own this truck. He's like, no, you don't. He was stealing something out of the engine compartment. So I'm telling you, it was just very, very bizarre. So finally we got him off the property, and I called the police and all that stuff. But no, it wasn't his. It was mine. I said, no, it's my truck, Very, very weird conversation. But he's trying to get out of getting in trouble, right? Because he's trespassing, he's stealing. So he just claims it's his. I mean, who does that? But that's what happened. And my son's looking at me, and we're just looking at each other like, what is going on? He didn't seem like he had a weapon, but we called the police, and anyway, we dealt with it. That turned out it was the people across the street. He I don't think he lived there. Maybe he was staying there briefly or something. But yeah, it was the people across the street where he was from, just right across the road. I mean, I don't know. But again, it's the idea of you're fighting somebody's fantasy, and you're trying to get to the truth of the matter, and you're having to defend against something that is just not even real, right? And that's unfortunately what the Seven of Cups is suggesting. Cups is our emotions. We get caught up in the emotions. They scatter about. We don't think about things realistically, and so there could be something like that that is coming in today that you're having to deal with, that you're needing the truth about. So either somebody's trying to con you into believing something, they're selling you something or what have you, but unfortunately, there's a loss that could happen as a result of it. So you've got to get to the truth of the matter. You've got to figure out what's really going on. You can't get a bunch of fanciful thought going on. You have to actually know, and to prevent any kind of loss of trust or loss of something, loss of money. So basically, Thursaz then would align well with the Queen of Swords, where you're breaking through the deception to find out what the truth is on something today. Otherwise, there could be a loss of some kind. Either, you believe somebody that's just taking you for a ride, or maybe you lose out financially because you make a purchase of something that's just garbage, and you didn't do your due diligence. You didn't check around to see, well, is this really a good product? Maybe you spent a lot of money on it, But again, what opposes you? Are you in too much of a hurry to do something, and you need to take your time and really weigh out do like a risk benefit analysis, basically? Or are you or is there like a lack of impulse control going on, and you're just like, I want that, and you spend some money on it, and then later you're like, oh geez, why did I do that? So Thursaz in that regard could be, talking about your own level of self-protection from yourself and the kind of choices that you're making. controlling the impulsivity within. Most of the time we think about Thursday in terms of others, what am I going to do to control a particular situation? But realistically, most of the situations we have to protect ourselves are the ones we create. And so there could be some impulsivity that's going on in you today, if you want to look at it from that standpoint, and you need to protect yourself from some of the choices you might want to make that could then result in some level of loss. But again, you could read the cards from really that standpoint. You need to understand what the truth is with the Queen. You need to get some other information, and you got to get your head out of the clouds. So that would be another way to read this today. Otherwise, you could experience a loss that you're unprepared to experience. So that would be a way of looking at it from the self itself, instead of looking at it from something that's coming in at you. So 2 different ways to look at it, I guess, today. It should cover the bases, whatever's going on in your life, it should cover them, hopefully. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we did it. Let's see, we've got a 5 and 7 is what? 12, so that's a 3 numerology. Again, 3s have to do with communication, has to do with the triplicities of life, like past, present, future, mind, body, spirit, that sort of that process, if you will. And so it's maybe with an eye to the past might be going to the Hierophant, the present moment, having to do with the Queen of Swords. She's very present moment oriented. It's like, I want what I want right now. You're going to tell me the truth. You're not going to lie to me. I'm going to know, if you do. So, and then the futures, kind of keep, make your expectations a little more realistic. So I don't know. A couple ways of looking at it. See, I told you that was going to happen when we were looking at Amicio in a general way. Anyway, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the blog over there at Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. If you click on more underneath the video, or show more, whatever it is, it'll open up a window, tells you all kinds of stuff, links and all that of where I am. I not only write over there on the blog, but I also publish my stuff over on Substack, on Medium, and on Patreon. If you want to follow me over there as well, that'd be cool. Where I am on social media is also underneath. When you open up that window, you'll see all those places. If you're into that sort of thing, I'm becoming less and less into that sort of thing as time goes on. But I'm still there, and because there's people there that I've been talking to for years, so I don't know. I'm not going to go anywhere. But anyway, if you want to look at that, that'd be cool. Everything that came out on the blog, exploring tarot for the week. Let's see, that one's the world card. Let's see what else. The daily correspondences for work and magic, they're up. And so is the week ahead. Oh, I finally said it right. So that's what happens when I change titles on stuff. Then it's like I can't even remember what the darn thing is. But anyway, the week ahead is out also on there. A little bit different take on things, but still, I think it's relevant. Kind of a blend of astrology and the more esoteric stuff, runes and numerology and human design and all of that. Kind of how I look at things there. So that's up, and I guess that's it. I'm not sure what we're doing today. I think I may go ahead and do some more. Finish making my cottonwood bud stuff, my balm of Gilead stuff, and I sure like that. Boy, it sure works well. It's great for arthritis. It's I think it's antifungal something. I don't know. I don't remember, but I use it for pain, joint pain. My husband uses it, and we like it really well. And since we have cottonwood growing all over the place here, it's just. I went and I made a bunch this time, and I'm putting it in, I'm going to make it mostly in liniment fashion so it'll last longer. Oils don't last as long, and so, but I've got a bunch of salve, and that turned out really well too. So anyway, lots of things to do. Get my little room ready in there. Everything's out. I can get my in the tent there to get my seed stuffs, my little platforms I have, the little, well, actually it's just like a shelving unit that I have in pieces. And so you've got nice little areas you can put your plants on and put them under lights when you start your seeds. So I'm getting ready to do that, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and come back on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.